In this how-to, we're going to learn how to concatenate a variable to a string, a sentence in other words, so that the output can be a little bit more meaningful. We could get it to say, in this case, number 1 plus number 2 is, and whatever the answer is here. So let's have a go at doing that. Because what we're going to type in is text, we have to put it in a speech mark. So we start off with the speech marks there, then we type what we want it to say. Number 1 plus number 2 equals. Now I've put a space in here when I close the speech marks because whatever the answer is, I don't want it to be right next to the equal sign. I want a space. So now what I have to do is concatenate. So put a space in, and if I press shift and number 7, that gives me the ampersand sign, and then I place a space between that and the variable, and the job's done. Let's compile the program and just see what actually happens. Let's enter 10 and 5. Click the plus button because this is the event that we want to happen, and it says there, good, number 1 plus number 2 is equal to 15, which you know is correct. We can also add text on after this if we wish, so let's have a go at doing that. Let's close the form down. So at the end of this, if we want to concatenate a string onto the end, we use the shift and number 7, which is the ampersand, and place a speech mark because it's going to be text, but I start with a space this time because whatever the text I type here, I don't want to be right on the end of the answer. So let's put in which is correct. Close the speech marks. Oh, let me spell that correctly. Let's try compiling it again. Put 10, 5. Click the plus button. We've got number 1 plus number 2 is 15, which is correct. Excellent, the job's done. So now let's move on and see if we can do exactly the same, but putting the output into a message box. Let's close this form down, and let's just place a single speech mark in front of that output text there, just so it turns into a comment and it's not compiled by the program. Now, the MessageBox function starts with the word message box, and the property is show. Now we start with opening up some brackets, and what we can see here are all the things that can happen within this message box. The part which is bold at the moment is the part that we're working with. The text as string is what actual text we want to appear in that message box. So let's start with a speech mark because it's text, and we can add number 1 plus number 2 equals, put the space in again exactly how we did before, close the speech marks, and now we can concatenate the variable to this. So we do this by shift and number 7. The variable which is storing the answer that we want is called answer. We select that there. So that's that part done. If we put a comma in, you can see it moves us along one. Caption a string. This is what's going to be in the title of the message box. So again, because it's a string, we need to put it in speech marks, and let's just say display total. Close the speech marks. A comma moves us along again. Which buttons do we want to appear on this message box? Let's just go for an OK button. Now, if we put a comma in again, moves us along to the icons, we can have any of these icons, error, exclamation, all different ones. But in this case, I don't think we really need one. So let's go back and remove that comma and close the statement off by putting a bracket, closing the bracket in there. This is finished now. Let's click the play button to compile it. And let's add some numbers in, 10 and 5. Click the plus button because this is the event where it all happens. And over here it gives us the message box with the text that we actually wanted to appear in there and the actual variable. Number 1 plus number 2 is 15. Click OK, it disappears. Let's try a different sum. 20 plus 10. Click the plus button again. Number 1 plus number 2 is 30. Great, so we know it's working nicely. So that concludes this how-to on message boxes and concatenating strings to appear in labels. Let's just look at the code one more time. With the actual putting the output into a label, let's just remove that comma there, so the single speech mark, so it's not a comment. We've got the control, we've put the text in, which is in speech marks, and we concatenate using shift and number 7, which is ampersand. We put the variable in, another concatenation because we want to put this text on the end, so we put another ampersand in, speech marks because it's text, we put a space in there because we don't want the text to appear right next to the answer, close the speech marks, and the job's done. If we wanted the output in a message box, we use the MessageBox.show function and open the brackets. Because we want text to start off with, we put speech marks in what text we want, so we're saying again number 1 plus number 2 equals, put a space in and close the speech marks, concatenate once more by putting the variable in using the shift and number 7, the ampersand, and when we put a comma in, it moves us along to the title, which we want here, display total, another comma to put the buttons on that we want. There's many different types that we can have. Now the job's finished. Thank you very much.